Hi everyone, my name is Dina-Rosa and I play the clarinet. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking reeds. So, if you don't know what a reed is, they're the little guys that come in a box. They're made from bamboo, or they can be a synthetic reed. It's like a plasticky kind of one. But we're going to compare them. We're going to talk about the different strength, what do they mean, when you should be ready for the next one, different brands, how to adjust your reed. But yeah, stick around and enjoy. Okay, so fun fact, when I started playing the clarinet in 6th grade, playing on strength 2.5, which is pretty common. I think most middle schoolers start around 2 to 2.5. Now I play on Van Doren 3.5 plus, like this, and I think they're great. A lot of people play on, you can play on 4s, but I think most professionals play on strengths like 3 to 4. And it also depends on the mouthpiece that you have. Like some mouthpieces are a lot brighter than others, and some are a bit more resistant and darker, and so you kind of have to mix and match with your reeds and your whole setup. So basically how the strengths of reeds work, it goes from about 1 to 5, and so I started on 2.5, and every number you go up, like every half number, like 2.5, 3, 3.5, it just gets a little bit harder, and the higher you go, the more resistant it gets, but most people don't get anything above 4.5. And then the other thing is knowing when to throw a reed out or change. Definitely throw it out when it's warped, or like when it's gone really, really thin and just nothing is working, nothing you're doing is fixing it. At a time, I'd say like for beginners, you should have about maybe up to 5 reeds going. You shouldn't be playing on 1 or 2 reeds. So for me, I play on around 30 to 40 reeds, but my teacher plays on like 100 plus reeds at a time, so it just depends on how much you play. So there's not just one type of reed. There's lots of different strengths and there's different styles. And they're called cuts. Like there's a European cut and there's an American cut reed. So basically, you might want to be looking for a reed that gives you a bit more flexibility and range of color and tone. And then on the other hand, you might be looking for a warmer and a deeper kind of resistant sound. So yeah, just experiment. I really like just in the middle there because I'm not a huge fan of a bright sound, and it definitely varies between where you go in the world. So my mouthpiece is a BD4 13 series. It's by Van Doren, and that's the same company that makes the reeds that I play on. So basically, it's a very standard mouthpiece that a lot of American clarinet players play on, and I think that the 3.5 plus works super well with this mouthpiece. If I were to play a different mouthpiece, I might want to switch a different reed, but it all depends, and it's all about, being flexible and experimenting. When you first open that box of reeds, you will see all of the reeds in little packages like this. So I keep them all in little plastic bags so that they're all kind of contained in one spot. This is just one of the bags that I have, but in each bag I have little reed cases, look like this. I think they're great because they're compact, they're pretty small and flat, and you can also decorate them with little stickers, and I do that to tell the difference between like my concert reeds and my not as nice reeds, like for practicing and stuff. And then also the other good thing I really like about it is they have little humidity packs in them. So this is at 72% humidity, and each one stores 8 reeds, and yeah, I think they're great. I think Rico makes them. I might be mistaken, I'll have to check. I'll link it in the bio, along with all my other reed stuff. But yeah, Rico is another one of the brands that you typically would buy reeds from. But yeah, I do prefer Van Doren, but yeah, it's totally up to you guys. Just a heads up, you probably won't be too happy with about 75% of the reeds that come in the box, because they all start off quite differently. It's called a breaking in period of time where it's about it depends for each player, but for me, it takes about a week, maybe 2 weeks to properly break into a reed. Basically, the first time you get it out the package, you only play on it for a few seconds, and then you stop, and then you do a few seconds more, and then you stop, and then a few minutes more. And then, the first day you only play a few minutes on it, and then the next day, 30 minutes, and then an hour, and then you know, however long you want to go for. But if you don't play as much, you aren't going to break your reeds in as much, and you aren't going to go through reeds as fast, because reeds can thin down, kind of like, you know, the pair of shoes if you're breaking them in. So reeds are very delicate and very small, and you also have to be aware of the climate you're in and the altitude and the humidity especially. You can only control it so much. Unfortunately, they can become moldy at some points. This last summer I went to Interlochen, and it's in Michigan, and I live in Oregon, so it's a bit of a humidity change. So I got there, and like a day later, my reeds were like disgustingly moldy. I'll insert a picture of what it looks like, but it doesn't affect it too much. It might have a bit more a warmer sound, maybe a little stodgy sound, but if it's only on the bottom of the reed, it shouldn't be too concerning. But if it starts coming up the reed, then maybe you should throw the reed out. So the nice thing about a synthetic reed, this is what the little package looks like, is you don't have to worry about them getting affected by any sort of humidity or any mold, because they're plastic. So let's take it out of the package here. They come in pretty cool little guys. You don't need to worry about keeping them in the humidity case. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and it's the same size. I have the European cut in this one, but basically I use a lot of them for E-flat clarinet. So you can get, so E-flat clarinet is the baby clarinet. It's called the soprano clarinet, or the piccolo clarinet actually. But I use it because, you know, if you're playing one movement on normal B-flat clarinet, you have to have your other clarinet, your E-flat clarinet, which has a smaller reed. You have to have that, you know, laying out for a while. So if it was a normal reed, it would change up because you're not playing on it. But for normal clarinet, I don't prefer it as much. I find it to be a bit of a thinner sound, a brighter sound, which is good in some cases because you can be a bit more flexible with, you know, changing up your colors and stuff. But I do like a warmer sound, and I just don't find that the synthetic reeds can give me that. Alright, I'm going to show you how I put the reed on the mouthpiece. So you first wet it, but I think I got a little too much spit on the reed, so you just gently wipe it off so it doesn't collect in the mouthpiece. So you place it on the mouthpiece, and then you grab your ligature. This is the one I use, but I'm just going to grab a more common one, and you can see it a bit better on the mouthpiece. So basically, you gently, carefully slide it over the top, and you adjust your reed so that you have a sliver of black peeking from behind. And you can adjust your reed very small movements. If you want a little bit more resistance, if your reed is a little bit too light, you might want to slide it up a little bit. And if it's too hard, you might want to slide it down a hair. Also take a look at where the ligature is, and it is about 0.5 millimeter below where the line on that reed is. You want to make sure it's securely tightened onto the mouthpiece so that the reed isn't moving around. Here is that from the side. There should be a little bit of a gap. That's just how the reed lays. So you shouldn't be able to move it around like this. I'm going to show you the wrong way. So obviously you can't play, no sound is going to come out if you have your reed like that and like that. So yeah. Okay, so if you are still not satisfied with how your reed is feeling, if it's a little bit too thin or muggy feeling, you can do a bit more adjusting than just, you know, changing it up on the mouthpiece. So if you look on your reed, so this is the front side with the little slump, and then if it's on the back side, if you see it kind of loop down or bump up a little, if it's not completely flat, you can take a file. So shout out to my teacher for giving this to me, but I also have a very funny story about trying to get through this through airport security. So that's for a different time. So basically I take the back of the reed very lightly with the back of the file, and I do little circle motions, maybe like figure 8 motions, so it's all there, and I just slightly smooth it like this. Try not to do it on the top side, just on this bottom half. Just so it's nice and smooth like that. And if you're still not satisfied, if you maybe hold it up to the light, you should see a little shape like this. And if it is a bit more darker on one side or a little lighter on one side, you can just grab some plain old sandpaper and very, very, very lightly shave off just maybe like a corner like that. So you see it's a little bit more even, but I'm still quite new to this all, and you know, some clarinet players actually make their own reeds, which is pretty rare, but it's really cool because you can, you know, clip them and from the actual cane it comes in. And but for oboe players and bassoon players, so they have double reeds, but it's very common for them to make their own reeds because they're like $20 separately if you just buy them, so compared to clarinet reeds. But yeah, that's how I try to adjust my reeds. Pepper and I would like to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and he would love it if you guys would comment, like, and subscribe down below, and definitely check out some of my other videos on clarinet tips and tricks, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye.